Hello, everyone. I'm Karen Beck Dudley, President and CEO of AACSB International. I hope you've been enjoying our Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Conference. It's my pleasure to introduce our Lightning Talk session, Creating a Culture of Belonging. In this session, speakers will share short TED Talk style presentations where they will share ways they're creating an inclusive culture on their campus to ensure that their staff, faculty, and learners feel that they belong. I encourage you during this session to think about how your institution is currently creating a culture of belonging and perhaps additional efforts you can make. Enjoy the session.
Welcome everyone to the AACSB's Diversity, Equity, Inclusion, and Belonging Conference. My name is Clarence Ball, and I'm a faculty member at the Gabelli School of Business at Fordham University in the Bronx, and I'm also our Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion. I've got a brief talk for you, primarily about the subject creating a sense of belonging within the Gabelli School of Business. So for the 5 years that I've had this role, there are 3 programs that I'd really like to share with you that I think have helped us to create a really strong sense of belonging at the graduate school, the undergraduate school, and some of the communities that surround our university as well. So the first program that I'd like to discuss with you is the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Student Advisory Board. We started this program at the undergraduate level. And at the time, we were being intentional about structuring the organization like a company. So there are CEOs and there's a C-suite of vice presidents, and they handle projects like marketing, operations, programming, and events. There's even a community engaged learning team. I'll talk about that in a second. But the primary function of that board is to make sure that we don't miss any cultural events or celebrations within our population. So from Hispanic Heritage Month through Diwali, Black History Month, Women's History Month, AAPI Month, Pride Month, and even through Juneteenth, our students at the undergraduate and at the graduate level are leading our programs for all of those cultural events. They're handling all of the marketing materials for those cultural events. They're doing the promotions and making sure that the events are well attended. And they're also doing the surveys, satisfaction surveys after the event so that we can collect some of those success metrics at the end. I think that this has really increased a sense of belonging community-wide. There were some events that we used to miss, like Diwali and Holi. I don't think we had a really robust AAPI month. We could have done a little bit better with Lunar New Year and Chinese New Year, but because we included the students in that, we don't miss anything, and everybody's always really pleased with the celebrations that we have. The other thing that the board does is there's a community engaged learning arm, and that handles our high school program, okay? So we have a high school pipeline program. This is the second program I'd like to share with you concerning our belonging, because we sit in the Bronx. And so we're in one of the most diverse communities in the country. It is also one of the most resource scarce communities in the country. And yet we think that as Fordham University's mission to be in communities like that, not just helping with whatever we can, but bringing some of those really intelligent kids from those communities into our undergraduate schools so that they can pursue business as a major. So in 2018, we started this pipeline program with Cardinal Hayes High School, Catholic private high school that serves the community. So the alumni are handling a lot of the tuition for the people that go to that school. And when we started that school, we were able to we had a cohort of 12 students. We pipelined about 5 of those students in. That's about 40%. Of that first cohort did come to Fordham University as freshmen, and 2 actually made it into the Gabelli School of Business. So with the limited amount of time, what we do is we share a lot of our college curriculum with the high school students. The Gabelli School of Business students are the college mentors for the program, so they help the high school students with their student projects. Their project each year is to take a Fortune 500 company, diagnose some diversity, equity, and inclusion problem, and then come up with some corporate strategy to fix said problem. So this year, one of the case examples is Apple, and they have a blood oxygen app that uses artificial intelligence, but the artificial intelligence gets faulty the darker your skin tone is. So these are some of the projects that the college students are helping the high school students work on, and it helps inform our office on corporate strategy for diversity, equity, and inclusion as well. So the last thing I'd like to share with you is the net that we created to catch students that come out of our high school pipeline program. So even though we might pipeline, 5 or 6 students a year in through that particular pipeline program, what we've noticed is that if we don't have a net, and by net, I mean like an organization that they can immediately join as soon as they get to campus, sometimes their engagement falters a little bit. Sometimes their sense of belonging, if I'm staying on topic, might falter a little bit as well. So the First Year Diversity Scholars Program is connected to our Career Services Office at the Gabelli School of Business. We call it the Office of Personal and Professional Development. What they do is they realize that a lot of the diversity pipelines start a year prior to the normal internship pipelines that a lot of the companies on Wall Street and some of the Big Four accounting firms have. So we have a slate of freshmen. A lot of them are from diverse backgrounds. Some of them might be first-generation college students, and they're entering into a very competitive landscape where they need internships sometimes the summer after their freshman year. So we use the First Year Diversity Scholars Program to, first of all, put all of our pipeline students into that freshman year program, and then we open it up to anybody else that's in an underrepresented group. So if, for example, women are underrepresented in finance, if that's the case for a particular firm, then women are invited to our program, and across all other underrepresented groups as well. We've got 2 huge corporate partners helping us with that. One is American Express. They do a one-on-one mentoring program for all of the 30 students that are in that program. And then Morgan Stanley this year has become our partner by putting a lot of workshops in front of the students. So they gave us about 4 workshops about diversity, equity, and inclusion, and having careers in finance if you come from a non-traditional background, like you're a first-generation college student or something like that. The last thing that we do in that program, this is kind of fun, is we have a table etiquette workshop. So we have an alum, she was a previous vice president of a bank on Wall Street. And then she switched careers and became a McDonald's franchisee. She actually was the president of Ronald McDonald House Charities. And so she comes every year and she does a 2-part workshop. The first part, she shows the students about table etiquette, what to do with the napkin and the fork and the plates, and what to do with the bread and when does the butter go on the plate and all that thing. And then we actually have a dinner in Little Italy where we sit down formally with all 30 students, and then we practice that table etiquette. Again, the purpose behind that is a lot of the banks on Wall Street have ending dinners. And some of our freshmen were uncomfortable with what to do at some of those formal dinners. And so that's a part of our program as well. So to put a bow on this, I would just say that A, I'm really grateful to the AACSB for being a strong supporter of Fordham University's Gabelli School of Business. And B, I hope that some of what I've shared today, you can incorporate into your own schools, depending on your context, to increase a sense of belonging. So again, that would be incorporating your students into your cultural programming so that you don't miss anything, and that all of those cultural events are representative of the cultures that they're supposed to be celebrating. I would be in some communities around your university looking for high school students that can matriculate into your School of Business. I think our mission statements call us to do that. And the last thing is you do need a freshman program that helps students from non-traditional backgrounds get better internships and jobs, because if you're tracking your job placement like we are, you will see a bump go up in your placement numbers because you have been attentive to that population. And with that, my name is Clarence Ball from Fordham University, and thank you so much for your time.
Hi, my name is Flora Kwang, and I am the inaugural Assistant Dean in Diversity and Inclusion at the Faculty of Business and Economics and the Melbourne Business School at the University of Melbourne. Today, I'm happy to present a lightning talk about how we create an inclusive culture at the faculty to ensure all staff, faculty, and learners feel a sense of belonging. Before I talk about our faculty's goals and achievements, I'd first like to share a personal story that brought me closer to the heart of diversity and inclusion. In July 2010, during the birth of my son Lang, I experienced a medical emergency. I had multiple organ failure. My heart, lungs, and kidneys all stopped working. Luckily, I survived, but I was left unable to move. I couldn't even move a finger. I had critical illness polyneuropathy, and to recover, I had to go on a long journey of rehabilitation. During my stay at a medical rehab center, I worked every day to regain strength and mobility. But improvement did not come quickly. While I was trying my best, I felt stuck in a dark place, trapped inside my own body, with no signs of improvement. In December 2010, I had another medical emergency and again found myself in ICU. This time, I had to stay in the hospital on Christmas Eve. My husband pushed my wheelchair to the hospital chapel for a moment of peace. There, it was so quiet I could hear my own heartbeat. As I sat and contemplated my life, I thought, who am I? Anger and fear mixed with desperation. I had lost my identity. But in that moment, I decided to get my identity back. I improved enough to return home where my family took close care of me. I continued my rehab as an outpatient at a local hospital and resumed my academic research. My mobility started to improve. First, I was able to sit up by myself for a few moments. Then, I reached the milestone of sitting for half an hour. Next, I started crawling and standing when I first stood up using a walking frame and felt my weight with my feet. I cried. Life is so fragile, even as it is so powerful. Over time, I regained my identity as a mother, a wife, and a scholar. With the generous help and care of many people, I'm a stronger version of me. I don't know if I could have made it without all the love and support of so many friends, family members, and complete strangers. I know now more than ever that we are better as a collective force of individuals, each with unique strengths and skills. Everyone has something to offer, and everyone benefits when we see difference as an asset. These principles supported my recovery and are at the center of the deep value diversity and inclusion brings to our lives and our work at the university. As Assistant Dean of Diversity and Inclusion, I oversee implementation, measurement, and monitoring of the university's D&I framework within our faculty. I'm proud to share with you three of our faculty's achievements in diversity and inclusion. The first is our SheCommerce program for high school students in years 9 to 12 who identify as women, including cis women and trans women students. SheCommerce promotes interest in Bachelor of Commerce degree at the University of Melbourne and study in business and economics field where women are underrepresented. Its pedagogical approaches are innovative. As an introduction to management, students took part in a drawing activity at an art exhibition to raise awareness of perspective taking in ethical leadership and stakeholder management. As an introduction to finance, students used a simulated trading room where they had access to global equity shares and observed real-time ASX stock trading. All students in the program were also connected to a community of inspiring female business leaders and student mentors. Our second achievement is our innovative scheme to support staff who are new parents. As in many other industries, women are dominant in lower academic levels, but underrepresented in senior academic roles and senior leadership positions. Our scheme for new parents addresses this disparity in 3 ways. The first is providing support to new parents through activities such as workshops and networking. The second is creating a web-based information hub that provides staff with clear and accessible information related to parental leave and beyond. The third is the provision of work relief to all academics without discrimination and irrespective of gender, sexual orientation, gender expression, biological sex, or undergoing gender affirmation. All these come together to give new parents the support they need to continue on their career trajectory. Our third faculty achievement is the FBE Dean's Diversity and Inclusion Excellence Awards, which celebrate staff who have made significant contributions to this space. Last year, the award nominees presented a stunning range of D&I themes, with awards being given for work on LGBTQI+ topics and indigenous sovereignty. As the Assistant Dean in Diversity and Inclusion, I have seen the positive impact that creating an inclusive culture can have on individuals and organizations. Creating an inclusive culture is not an event. It requires enduring commitment and effort to ensure diversity and inclusion are embedded in everything we do, from the way we recruit and hire and the way we teach and learn to the way we interact with each other. We all have unique perspectives and experiences, and by embracing them, we can create a more dynamic and innovative community. Thank you.
Hi, Sadikrab everyone. My name is Nat Pimpa, and I'm from the College of Management at Mahidol University in Thailand. Well, it is really a great honor for me to participate at this conference, even though I won't be here in person. But the project that I work with the United Nations Development Programs in Thailand is the story that I'd like to share with you. It is a part of the diversity, equity, and inclusion project that is aimed at equality for diverse groups of employees. Well, when you think of equity and inclusion, you might have a few things that pop up in your head. For example, ethnic minorities, LGBTIQ+, women, people of different languages, in the workplace in particular, country like Thailand in Southeast Asia, where diversity is fact of life in most organizations. But it is interesting enough for us that the DEI, or diversity, equity, and inclusion, seems to be just what we said, but not quite actually practiced. So that's how we started with this project. And in this project, I discussed with colleagues from the UNDP who really think so much about the fact that when we think about Thailand, a place on so-called paradise for LGBTIQ in Asia, but we still think of the fact that how on earth we don't really have the legal system or structure that protect LGBTIQ workers in an organization. Interesting enough to say this fact with you that I have two master students, and two of them actually worked on the LGBTIQ policy in Thai public sectors. It's interesting to find, only 2 or 3 big companies discuss this, but only in written format rather than in practice. So the challenge remains for us. We also look at the exception of the handful of Thai companies. Only the local branches or subsidiaries of the Western companies have so far embraced the concept of DE&I, and they have hardly reached the local business community. we also look at another study, a main study by the UNDP, which is called Tolerance but Not Inclusion, a national survey on experience of discrimination against LGBT people in Thailand. The fact that I think is quite interesting and lead us to the project is the fact that the full acceptance of LGBT people remains elusive, especially by family and social network. And in rural areas, almost half of the LGBT people in the survey report not being able to express who they are to the family and people at workplace. Right, so we feel, oh, this is impossible to see. Walk on the street in Bangkok and you find people still say, that's fine for us to be LGBTIQ, but we don't have the legal system to protect us at work. Right? The stigma and the discrimination that LGBTIQ people face has consequences. For instance, that survey talk about 49% of the LGBT respondents report that they have contemplated suicide. And while 17% have attempted suicide. And nearly half of the respondents highlight access to mental health and service related to mental issues. But many reported difficulty accessing this service and discrimination in healthcare setting. What's actually happening here, right? So we start the project by looking at public sectors first, but we found it's nearly impossible for us to look at public sector because they don't really fully support this issue. It's sort of don't ask, don't tell. So we shift to the private sector, and it really aspire to make the Thai companies aware of these important issues, D&I for LGBT inclusions, and to explore how the Thai business community can translate this concept and adopt to a Thai business environment and business culture. So we started by talking to 4 or 5 companies, and all of them are big, major companies in construction, in food, and in agriculture. They have policy, they have foundation on LGBTIQ, on diversity and inclusions. So we started a few roundtable discussion with them, with the human resources and the executive from those companies. The kind of question that we ask is pretty much we ask what have they done and what actually stopped them to progress on the LGBTIQ policy. And I'm not surprised to hear the similar kind of idea that, all right, we can do that, but because there isn't the labor law in this area, so we don't want to go beyond what is actually written in the national legal system. That's quite scary to think of the fact that company can find this way. So we talked to them and said, what about this? Why don't we develop this kind of toolkit, which is actually a few ideas that we can throw into written, or we can transform that into electronic learning. So the toolkit will serve in two functions. First, as an educational tools for organization to learn, and the second one is as the practices for companies and those who are in need of the support from the company. So we start to talk to them, and after that we came up with the idea on the toolkit management, which we really follow the United Nations ideas on the standard of conduct for business. So we have got 5 principles out there. For example, respect human rights. We also talk about how to avoid discrimination, how to promote and accept people of diverse gender background at workplace, and even basic issues such as to collect the data from the organization within. It's really important. In our survey, we realized that not a lot of companies really ask their staff about their gender and the need based on gender. So we start from that point, and we also encourage companies such as Sansiri and others to form the peer-to-peer group, with the hope that with that kind of informal interplay, that would really towards the formal and perhaps more inclusive system for LGBTIQ people in Thailand. I hope this project will go on, and we hope that we can continue the next phase in the middle of this year. And or when we reach the point of the study, certainly we are more than happy to come back and share our finding with you guys at AACSB. Thank you so much.